It's Christine Wilson and Saphira Galoob, and you'll thank us later. Tune in every week and hang out with us because we're a lot of fun.
And no topics off the record, we decided. We are open to talking about everything together with a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of grace, and always being wiser on the other end. Bring it on, girls and boys.
You know what? You'll thank me later that I'm telling you about this. You'll thank me. They're going to hate us, Saphira. It's going to be nuts. Happy early Mother's Day, Saphira. How are you?
Thank you, Christine. Happy early Mother's Day to you as well.
I am really excited because I get to do something that I actually really love to do for Mother's Day this year. I'm going to Disney World.
What? Who goes to Mother's Day who goes to Disney World on Mother's Day?
I know. And I'm one of those wackadoodles that likes going to Disney World. I don't look at it as a negative.
Yeah.
And the best part is that our au pair that we had from Australia will be there. So we're going to meet up with her and her mother. So Tiarna and Sharon will be there, and I'm taking the boys. So I'll have my boys with me. They're a little resentful because they might be missing the state championship for rugby, which I didn't know about when I planned this trip 6 months ago.
Well, when they look back on it, this is much better use of their time and memory creation than yet another rugby game. It'll all be okay.
It will be okay. This is our third time that we've met them at Disney. So we do it I think every 2 years, except for COVID. COVID threw a wrench in there somewhere. But
you know that I have never been to Disney and I've never taken my child to Disney. Have we talked about that?
We did. And I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I think it's perfectly fine.
I appreciate that because there may be people in this world who think that I should have some sort of demerits.
If it's not your jam, there's no reason to spend money because it's so expensive. And I mean, for me, I took the kids when they were 2 and 4 and I drove to save money. I used our timeshare. Let's talk about timeshares another day and what a fuck up those are. But anyway, I used our timeshare and my dad went down with me and stayed half the week. And then he flew home and Oj came down and did the second half of the week or vice versa. I can't remember. But I was every day ready to go. I thought it was magical. And the kids were really into Phineas and Ferb at the time. And we finally found the Phineas and Ferb characters, and Ronan was dead asleep in his stroller. And it's the whole thing. So I have all these pictures of Phineas and Ferb pointing at him in the stroller.
Classic. I love that. Well, I just want to make sure you got credit since he was sleeping, that you actually took him to where he wanted to go and what was meaningful to him. Because, I actually was going to say, if you don't take a picture, it didn't happen. Right. But I guess if you took a picture and he was asleep, then that's probably a better memory than him trying to remember at that age, which we, of course, know he wouldn't.
He wouldn't have remembered anyway. Yeah. So I thought that trip was great. The last few trips, we go down to see Tiarna and we go for 1 to 2 days. Mm-hmm. So super fast, get in, get out. You aren't annoyed or sick of it or disappointed by the time you leave. And Tiarna has spent more cumulative days at Disney World probably than many Disney World employees. So she works the app and gets us on the rides with she knows all. I mean, it's a technology game, this whole system.
Really?
It's actually a nightmare.
You know what?
For a lot of
she
people.
She should do a podcast on it for people who love Disney. I would be able to, first of all, do it when I'm away so that I can, but she can tell you how to game Disney with your kids.
But I think the thing is, you just have to be on the app all day long.
Okay.
And she watches for when things are low line and jumps in there and puts it on. And anyway, long story short, I don't have to do anything. I just walk where she tells me to walk. I smile. I have a good time. We try to keep Declan from vomiting on any of us when he gets off the rides because he likes to throw up after rides.
Fantastic.
And we all have a good time.
Maybe take some Meclizine for him or some Odansetron to help him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a little weak stomach for the ride.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I think it sounds lovely. And is Osh going with you guys as well?
No. Okay. He's staying home with the dogs. So you can hang out. You and Gio can hang out with him for Mother's Day if you'd like. He's all yours.
I mean, you're so sweet. In fact, we were talking about Mother's Day before this, and I am one of those people who realize it's Mother's Day when I wake up in the morning. And Mother's Day is tricky at my house because I think I may have shared some things in my marriage before that make our household a bit unique, which is my husband is off the hook meaning he is not required to or expected to do any kind of card purchasing, flower buying, present scavenging.
Yeah.
So Mother's Day for us is really like a day like any other day. Now, I will tell you that even with those rules in place, I will frequently utilize a birthday or a Mother's Day to kind of, put in queue something I want to happen. But I will tell you that my husband right now is renovating our bathroom. And what I'm going to get out of it, ladies and gentlemen, is Mother's Day gifts for the rest of somebody's life, because my bathroom is going to be so flippin' beautiful. In fact, we can do a podcast of me from my bathroom because it's going to be so pretty.
I'd rather have that than any trinket or
100%.
or
100%. Well, and we thought today, I think there were kind of two things we wanted to address. One, we thought we would address things that if we were going to get gifts, what we would like to get for Mother's Day. And two, things we learned from our mothers. So I thought we could do both of those things today, which would be both thematic. And since both of our mothers listen to the show, the best gift is sharing with the world and with them the things that were really meaningful for us that they kind of gave to us in their mothering of us.
So I have a very quick and easy. I can get past what I'd want for Mother's Day very easily for you because it happened one year. My Oj was going to be out of town, and I was going to be home with the kids. And the kids were little. I mean, I don't know, 5 and 7, 7 and 9. He made a plan with them, and they also brought my mom into the planning. And they planned the ultimate Mother's Day for me at home using their own ideas. They made cards. They bought all sorts of spa stuff. They went in, they lit candles. They had bath soaps. They ran the bathtub. They had bubbles. They had a magazine for me to read. They had lotion. They had flowers. And they set it all up. It was so funny because I was like, okay, I'm going to get in the bath now. And they're like, just sitting there like, great. I was like, well, do you guys want to leave now? It was so cute. They were just so excited.
I don't want to take a bath with you. That would ruin the Mother's Day present.
Yeah, they were so excited to see me be so happy. And then I got out and Ronan's like, can we put lotion on your legs for you? I hope he doesn't cringe that I'm telling that. But they were so little and innocent and cute. And they just wanted it to be like the best spa day for mom. So I know that is like weird territory at teenagers, but the thought that they put into it, like, we want to give you this wonderful day of relaxation, even though you're stuck at home taking care of us, we're going to make it special for you. I'd love that day again. It was the best.
Well, I think that is amazing. So I will share something that my son offered to me. He didn't do it on Mother's Day, but for me, it counts as like the best Mother's Day present ever, because it didn't happen on Mother's Day, but when he mentioned it, it was like the best present ever. And the funny thing is, we haven't decided on it yet, but when he mentioned it, I'm like, this is the best present ever. So you guys remember that I'm like, no social media, no pierced ears, no tattoos, nothing. Like I'm a virgin and all the things. So my son, he got one of those temporary tattoos on his leg.
They last like a couple years.
Yeah. He came home with it. I have to tell you, I was a little bit shocked about it, but he got he got a lion that they have like on the Singha bottle that you see in Thailand, because I think it represented something that he and I did in Thailand. And he said to me, he goes, this is a temporary tattoo. This is going to go away. He goes, the only permanent tattoo I'd ever get is one that I would do with you together. And when my son told me that he wanted to get a tattoo with me,
you were in.
I was like, okay. Now, some of you out there are laughing that was just deflecting from his temporary tattoo. And I don't disagree with you, but he did come home with some tattoo ideas. I have not yet bought into the tattoo ideas, but I'm just going to tell you, this anti-tattoo girl, if we can find something that my son and I will get together, that's like the best gift ever. Like the best gift ever.
And like these small wrist tattoos are really popular now, or if you wanted it to be something more hidden that you would only
that we were gonna get. But I'm so like, for me, that is like that's like the best Mother's Day gift for my son.
I love it. And I hope you do go get it.
I think we will. We have to figure out what we want to get. It's got to be something that's not like,
cheesy.
Right. And then I'd say, my husband, I didn't really want anything for Mother's Day for him because honest to God, like, I mean, literally, I, this bathroom renovation, he started it in February and it will not be done until June 1st. And it is not because he's a slow worker. It is because he is going all the way to the studs and redoing all the plumbing. He is doing all the electrical, and it is going to be like, I'm like, literally, my bathroom is going to be like what you can see in Home and Gardens, and or Architectural Digest or something like that. It's going to be the most beautiful bathroom, and that's how I just want him to do projects like this. That's what I love.
I know, but he's going to run out of projects for you soon, and he's going to need a new house. So.
Oh yeah, or he can come over and do projects for you.
Or maybe another house in Sawyer.
Oh yeah, there's that. We do have another house waiting, but we don't have the permits there, so that's going to be a minute. So, but
yeah,
the big thing here is for me to be able to get a bathtub. So I will report out to everybody once I get my bathtub. So those are my like amazing presents. You know, I will say, and a little shout out to you, Miss Christine. So you didn't know this, but when we were first married, he did pick me out an Hermes scarf every year. Like that's how I started my collection. And you and your sister just bought me an Hermes scarf to say thank you for being in Spain, which is like the best gift. I mean, if anybody wants to like buy me an Hermes scarf, the answer is yes, you had me an Hermes scarf. But I wore it I need to take a picture because I wore it at the conference we was yesterday. And I got so many compliments on it. And and not only that, I wore the little necklace you gave me that year. And so you were like around my neck and up to my heart all day long, Miss Christine.
I love it. I hope it was a good day. And it
was a great day. I went to Atlantic City just for one day. But knowing
that's all you should go to Atlantic City.
Let me tell you something. Do not go to Atlantic City. Go to Disney or go anywhere else, but do not go to Atlantic City. It is just but the conference was nice, and folks, it was nice for me to be invited. And I felt very happy they invited me. So for me, that kind of is I always love a good Hermes scarf, but I really love getting tattoos of my son, and my husband can renovate anything he wants. So that's my
sounds like the perfect.
That's my wish list. That's my wish list. So that's pretty quick for us, huh?
Yeah. So now we got to talk about our moms because, as I always say, Oach doesn't need to be around for Mother's Day for me. I'm not his mother. I'm Ronan and Declan's mom. So I like to, I'm going to not be home for my mom for Mother's Day. So yeah, this is a wonderful way to honor her. And maybe I'll share a thing and then you could share a thing.
Sure.
We'll sure. I often tell my mom the biggest thing that I got from my mother was the expectation that I could do hard things and that I did not need a man. My dad traveled a lot, and my dad was a wonderful provider, an incredible dad. But guess what? If a light bulb needed to be changed, if something needed to be done, he wasn't there. He was traveling. He was getting that 1,000,000 miles, which he got on the airline. And so my mom just got shit done. She made the meals. She did the driving. She took care of the things in the house that needed to be taken care of. She problem solved. And I think back, I'm like, God, how did even people problem solve before the internet? But she did it, right? And I always think it's nice to have a partner, but I also know I can do it all myself because my mom did it by herself with 2 kids for a long time. And maybe she had moments of weakness and feeling like it was really hard. But as a daughter, looking up to her, she looked strong, capable, and just really resilient.
I have to say, one, I'm just getting to know your mother, but knowing that aspect about her endears me to her so much.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing an episode, not today, about like things if you had, if you didn't need the money, you didn't want to need to earn more money, what would you do? And this idea that we could teach and invest in women, that they are enough to do everything and to be who they want to be and to like basically be their own magic. And they don't need to have a partner, female or male, and they really can do it. And instilling that confidence and that they have instilling the confidence that they have the competence. Remember, we talked about confidence in a prior episode, but instilling into young women and middle-aged women and aging women that we have the competence to have the confidence to be able to basically navigate through the world. And that is what a gift that is.
Yeah. And it was really good to have that as a role model. Yeah. I think my sister and I both are very capable women because we saw that.
Let me ask you, did you know that was a gift she was modeling for you when you were younger, or is that something you've learned as you're older?
I think I became more reflective on it as I became older, but I also okay, so just remember, I'm a firstborn, born to 2 firstborns. I am super aggressive, get shit done kind of person, so part of it is I think I always just thought it was my personality, but as I got older and had kids and so many of the gender roles things came up, I realized that every time I copped out and was like, "Oh, I wish Oj would mow the lawn," I was like, "I can mow the lawn.
Right.
I've mowed a million lawns. What am
Yeah.
I why am I whining about the lawn? Just do it if
Yeah.
you need it done." Um, so yeah, so I think I realized as I got older, I learned a lot of that resilience and like just get shit done from my mom.
So I have a similar moment of gratitude from my mom. It comes from a little different place. So my mother's mother, so my maternal grandmother, was very much a, oh, are you sure you can do that? Are you smart enough? That's I know that that was her mothering style. And so I'm a middle child. But as I was growing up, my mother, it wasn't that she did or didn't model what your mother did, but she always looked to me, and I knew she was looking at me through the lens of, well, of course you can do that. So, for example, um, I lived in a small town that was 100 miles from any larger town. So, you know, when our kids take like SAT prep classes,
Yeah,
well, when I was in high school, we didn't have SAT prep classes because nobody took the SATs. So
right.
because I wanted to go to school out of state, I drove myself to Dallas, Texas, 100 miles away at 16 years old, 2 to 3 nights a week during a school night
Oh,
to take an SAT prep class. And rather than saying, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, she was like, okay, then this is what you need to do. We'll make sure there's gas in the car and call us if you need us.
yeah,
When I went to college, I did my own little college tour, when most people like go with their parents. And she was like, okay, you want to do this? Great. Well, what do you need? And she never engaged with me in a way that I thought that she didn't have confidence in me. And so she was like, well, of course you can do this. I never even questioned that I couldn't, because she would always say, okay, well, go get it done. What do you need?
yeah,
And at the time, I actually thought that that was pretty common. But when I took myself to college in the freshman year, and I was the only one without parents there, it occurred to me that my parents' confidence in me was something that was a bit unique, but
it was an
it
outlier.
was totally outlier. But the appreciation that I have from my mom, who always saw me through this lens of, well, of course you can do it. And
Yeah.
I think when a young woman is looking for someone to look at them very with, the person they trust the most, which is their parents, was, of course you can do it. Then you say, well, of course I can do it. And that gift is something that I don't think I really appreciated, but now looking back, I know that that is part of my DNA.
I was gonna say it's who
It
you are.
is so crucial to the way that I handle the things that work out. I'm like, well, I'll just do something else. Why? Because of course I can, because my mother raised me to be like, of course I can. And
Well, and you're like, "I'll go live in another place. I'll go buy a house somewhere else. I'll go travel to this place." You never expect or seem to even, like, think through all of the worries and
like,
fears that
the
come with it.
idea of I'm not capable
You
is
just do
never
it.
part of my vocabulary, because my mother never allowed it to be part of my vocabulary. Well, of course you can.
I love that. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other thing is my mom is a caretaker. So by her profession, she was a physical therapist. She really was a caretaker and she mostly took care of geriatric patients as a PT. So she had people that, I mean, she went into their homes and, they were aging. There were all sorts of things to take care of them beyond just being a PT. And I think I've mentioned before, she's given eulogies for patients. So that's how endearing she becomes in taking care of people. And I think there's been times where, like, my kids were sick, and I would think to myself, what would my mom be doing for me when I was sick? And my mom, she just did all the things, like brought in the TV, brought in the soup, bought the jello, took you to the doctor, took care of every little ache and pain and made sure you were comfortable. I had major surgery when I was 13 years old. She took care of me through all of the ups and downs of having scoliosis and that surgery. She just is a caretaker, and that is probably not as much my nature to be a caretaker. So I very much think of like, what would Penny be doing right now when someone needs caretaking? And I try to model and emulate the way she takes care of people.
Yeah, I love that. So kind of on the external facing thing, again, I'll think about how some of the things that I find as part of my DNA and my character. So, one of the things I am most proud about of who I am, and something actually, it's feedback that I got while I was teaching dance, and I didn't realize how impactful it was. So I'll talk about it through kind of my own lens, but then I'll talk about how it was actually something that a gift that my mother gave me. So one of the things that I've been told, and I didn't realize this, but I do really try to embody this, is that when I am with somebody, I am all in. So if we are sitting and having a conversation, I am like, it is like the most important thing to me. And frequently I will like miss other meetings. I will totally lose track of time. But if I'm like, if you and I we are like having this, like we're connected, like we're connecting in a way, the whole world is gone. And so,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter if you are, the most important person in the world or not the most important person in the world. I mean, I don't see a difference in that. But if I'm having a human connection, I'm like all in. And the reason I say that is because of my mom is because, and I used to kind of like thought it was a quirky personality, but like my mother would allow people to come into our lives and our families in the most unexpected ways and places. So, for example, I was a gymnast growing up, and we would have gymnastics. Well, let me actually start back. I was just going to tell you these three little stories. So, first of all, there was a gym, and it was like flailing. So my mother was like, "Well, Rachel loves the gym. The gym can't flail. Let's find three other mothers. We'll buy the gym." Then the gymnastics coaches didn't have a place to live. Well, of course, they'll just come live with us. We had like 7 gymnastics coaches live with us. She embraced people's humanity in such an intentional and generous way. Her hairdresser was pregnant, but didn't have a spouse or a partner. So what happened? The hairdresser came and lived at our house until that baby was born. And that little boy who was born 35, 40 years ago, I have no idea, is Hayden Mitchell. And he's like my brother. And he calls my mother by her grandmother name. And that was all because she looked at this woman who was her hairdresser, Carolyn, through the lens of such like commitment, like you need somebody, I'll help you. And that, I mean, I'm actually known for that kind of, I'm not had anybody reach out that way, but like I have a client coming in town and you can't afford a hotel. Well, of course you'll stay with me. And that level of both generosity, but also acknowledging the humanity in other people and that kind of connection, that is actually part of why I think I have such some of the relationships I have professionally and personally. I don't have a ton of them, but the ones that I have are so solid because people know that when I'm invested in you, I am all in. I am ride or die. And my mother was ride or die for so many people. She modeled that for me.
That is the truth.
And I'll tell you, there's one more gift that my mother gave to me that, again, I didn't really realize this until I was in this situation. So when I married, Giovanni, which by the way, we're not even married. I mean, we've just been together since I was 24.
So. Your faux marriage.
I'm as I call Giovanni my mother's son-in-law.
I love that.
And I also say to Giovanni, if you would like to leave me, it will be very expensive. Likely more expensive for me, but really expensive.
Yeah. So just leave it alone.
Right. But when Gio and I got together when I was 24, he had an 8 and a 10-year-old. And rearing those 2 children, because particularly our daughter, who had a lot of mental health issues and addiction and like all the things that are horrible for a young girl to go through. We went through them. And because of my parents, specifically my mother's attitude around embracing people who
that needed things,
that needed
help.
Things.
Yeah.
Because of their kind of their openness. After my sister died, for example, I think I shared, I don't know how many kids lived in my house for that like, but I mean, like definitely towards 10. But because they modeled that for me, I will tell you, it was really, really hard. And we can talk a little bit about like stepchildren and all of that in another episode. But because they had so much experience, and my mother specifically had so much experience embracing rearing a child under difficult circumstances, I did not shy away from it. And my mother didn't shy away from it. And I remember one time when my older son now became involved with a woman and they had a child, and the woman had many, many other children. And I was like, well, hold on. Do I have like one grandchildren or now that grandchildren? I mean, like at one point, I'm like, it's either one or there's seven. Like the baby mama to his first son has 10 children.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
totally freaked out.
You're like, I'm
I have
only,
one
and I'm not old
grandchild.
enough.
What do I have? She's like, well, you just go to Walmart and you buy presents for everybody.
Oh my
And I
God.
was like, Mother, I don't want to do that. She goes, well, that's what you do. That's what your responsibility is. And her approach is so like, why wouldn't you do that? Those children need a grandmother. You can do it. You can afford it. Like she's just like, stop it, step up.
Yeah.
And she modeled it for me. And I will say, like, I don't think I would have turned out. No, I absolutely would not have turned out the way I am had I not had my mother for me. She was the perfect mother for me as I was rearing into now my 50s.
That's incredible. I think one other thing that my mom gave to me is knowing that it's okay for things to be hard. It's okay to feel anxiety and depression. It's not fun. None of us want to, but it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to hide, and it's not something to avoid care for. And getting medical care when you need it for any sort of mental illness is not something that anyone should be ashamed of. And, my mom and I talk about regularly about how we feel and our anxiety and depression. And, I think having someone that can understand when I go through these things and someone that can relate, and also someone that just told me never to like hide and pretend it wasn't happening. Like I didn't, I've met so many people that I've had to encourage to go see a therapist or to get medication. There was none of that. When I needed it, I was not afraid because my mom had told me this is part of life and it's part of your care.
I mean, if you
And
had a disease,
yes,
you would go get medication. And so here's a question. So your parents are still married,
yes,
and my parents are still married.
pretty
I
amazing.
can honestly say that my mother has been like, I mean, my dad, he adores my mother. We can talk about dads another time. But knowing how my mother has kind of been flexible towards being married to my dad, I don't know if it's your mother, like in terms of the two folks, I think my mother had to have a more adaptive way for that marriage to evolve versus my father.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially when my dad worked and his life was so rigid, there was no bending for my dad. My mom did all the bending. Um, I think my dad's more reflective on that in older age of the expectations and the hardships he put my mom through of, raising two kids a lot on her own. I think he thought it was the best of what he should do at the time. And, so no blame or fault there. I just think he's reflective on it. But yeah, I think my mom did go through a lot of flexibility in how to keep our family in good shape. And, the other thing that I learned from my mom is that a good wife is the one in charge in the household. My mom has always called a lot of the shots. She does a lot of the work and she calls a lot of the shots. She highly respects my dad and he really respects her, but I don't I've always said I know I got at least 51% of the power in my house.
I would say knowing your family, you've got more power than that.
Potentially, but I want to stay married.
We won't divulge too much. Well, and I think, I think both of our mothers, we're so lucky. No human is perfect, but I think for folks out there who are reflecting on what kind of lessons their mothers have given them, and then also reflecting on things that may be difficult in their relationship with their mother, I think the one thing that I would say is really important is and this is something I think with adult parents and adult children is meeting your mom where she is.
Yeah.
Meaning I think that sometimes just like with our partners, so like with my husband, he cannot be all things for me. And I think just with our parents, and right now we're talking about mothers, we shouldn't expect them to be all things for us. And we should not therefore criticize the relationship or the person when they're not showing up for us in ways that we had expected or hoped. the contrary is, so I think we should take a completely different approach, which is let's just meet them where they are as humans and appreciate them for where they are as the people who have shown us, in many cases, more love and more forgiveness and more support than anybody ever would or ever could. And I think as adult women and as adult children, if we can give our mothers that level of grace and that level of unconditional kind of understanding, that will create a symbiotic relationships that's a lot less tension and a lot less anger and a lot less disappointment, because they're human like we are, they're aging like we are, they're just doing it in different decades. We're going to get there too, so we better be careful how we treat our moms, because our children will probably treat us in a way if we're not careful. So
you mean like the other day when I stopped by to visit my parents and they sat down to eat dinner at 4:45 and they each had a tray on their lap with their bowl of gumbo my dad made on the chairs, the lazy boys, and I took a picture of them and sent it to the whole family, and I just wrote old folks eating 4:45 supper, and then I laughed and I said to them, I'm making fun of you because I know I'm only about 20 years away from this exact moment.
Hey, listen, they're intermittent fasting and they're like relaxing into the evening. I love it. I love that.
Yeah, I was just excited to see my dad cooking again because it's been a long wait.
I think the gumbo was good too.
And he makes good gumbo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's, and you want to know one other thing I'll just say really quickly. Whenever I stop by to see my parents, the happiness and enthusiasm by my parents to see me, especially my mom, my dad too, but my mom, I mean, how could you not love that? Someone excited to see you, someone that loves you enough that when you just walk in the door, that's a happy moment for them. So I really appreciate that. And I wish your mom and my mom the best of Mother's Days. We're very, very lucky to have them both.
Yeah. And I would say, and I will try not to get you emotional,
yeah,
but whatever amazing characteristics that we adore with each other and that the outside world sees in us as being magical, just know that it was our mothers who placed that magic dust in us.
I agree. Oh, I'd love that. Saphira.
Happy Mother's Day to Linda and to Penny.
Love it.